This email, for example, was an alert that the Secret Service received on December 24th with the heading, "Armed and Ready, Mr. President." According to the intelligence, multiple users online were targeting members of Congress, instructing others to march into the chambers on January 6th and make sure they know who to fear.
Welcome back to Red and Blue. I'm Caitlin Huey-Burns. Congressman and January 6th committee member Adam Schiff said earlier today that Secret Service agents anticipated the eruption of violence on January 6th. He said top Justice Department and FBI officials received intelligence indicating people were traveling to Washington, D.C. with plans to attack the Capitol in the days leading up to the riots. Joining us now for more on all of this is A.T. Smith. He's the former deputy director of the Secret Service, and he currently serves as a security and investigations consultant and, lucky for us, is a CBS News law enforcement analyst. A.T., good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we were all wondering what new evidence we would see from these Secret Service documents released by the committee today. What exactly did we learn?
Well, we learned that there was a healthy amount of intelligence that they had acquired prior to January the 6th. And as I said earlier, it looks like maybe some of that intelligence was not acted upon, and certainly it should have been, because as we go back to 9/11, we talked a lot about connecting the dots, and hopefully the dots were connected here, although it doesn't look like all of them were.
Yeah, what were some of those failures that were identified?
Well, there was, I guess, specific information about some of the groups having what they were calling quick response units, and that they were storing weapons in various places. And it seems to me that that kind of information should have been followed up on by either some of the law enforcement agencies that were in that particular jurisdiction, or possibly the FBI, or maybe even the Secret Service, although that's not normally their legal landscape, if you will. It was something that if the information had been passed, could have been followed up on and should have been.
Yeah, we have a bite from Schiff that I want to play, kind of talking about these weapons that were apparently known about. Let's take a listen.
The Secret Service was aware of weapons possessed by those gathered at rallies in D.C. as early as the evening before. Take this document, for instance, which details multiple arrests in the crowds demonstrating on January 5th. Those arrests were for weapons offenses, handguns, high-capacity feeding devices, ammunition. What the Secret Service saw on the 6th was entirely consistent with the violent rhetoric circulating in the days before the joint session.
So I guess the question is, why wasn't there more action, given what they knew?
Well, that's the question that needs to be answered. And again, hopefully the Secret Service will come forward as far as the leadership goes and tell us a little bit more about that than we already know. As I said, it would have been normal to notify the other agencies that were involved in the activities on January the 6th to try to develop either more intelligence or more information about, in all likelihood, where these weapons were stored.
Yeah, do you expect that the Secret Service will come forward with that information?
I hope that they will. You know, the idea here is that everyone should be transparent that's involved in this. And I know there's been some pushback from the Secret Service. Obviously, of late, they have turned over a lot of documents, so hopefully they'll be transparent going forward on this particular subject as well.
Still a lot of questions about some of those text messages also. Yes. If you kind of take a step back, I'm curious if you are concerned that all of this has had an effect on whether people can trust the Secret Service, whether that's had any sort of dampening on the public perception of it or kind of within the agency itself.
I think a little bit of both. I know that we've heard a lot of talk about, you know, a career agent who was put in a political position at the White House, Mr. Ornato. That's never been done, as far as I know, in Secret Service history. So I think that dampened the morale quite a bit. And I think some of the information that we've seen of late regarding the missing text and so forth, even if that was an innocent mistake, it doesn't look that way. And I think so there is some eroding, if you will, of public trust. And my sources tell me the eroding of some morale within the agency.
And does that have an impact on agents' ability to do their jobs?
I don't think so. I think the agents are going to do their job. They know what their mandate is. Mm-hmm. They know what their responsibilities are, particularly when it comes to protective activities. So I don't think it will in any way lessen the work that they do, mm-hmm. but by the same token, it could have some impact on how they feel about themselves or how they feel about the agency.
Certainly in the spotlight after these hearings.
Sure.
A.T. Smith, good to see you. Thank you so much for your analysis. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.